The story I'm about to tell you happened to me in Japan back in the spring of 2017. As I mentioned to you before, I was an English teacher in Japan, Korea too, and during my years there, I befriended many people who were also interested in ghost hunting and the paranormal like me. Eventually, I met enough people and started a ghost hunting club. I won't tell you the name of the club to protect the identities of the members. Although we were amateur ghost hunters, some of us had the ability to see the dead, and so we were often called to help rid a house of a pesky ghost. Anyway, I'm getting off track here now. Let's get back to my story. So as I mentioned before, we were called in to help rid houses of ghosts, and oftentimes we did it for free, only asking money for our expenses. In April 2017, we got a call from a Shinto priest. I think the Japanese word for priest is either kanushi or shinshoku. Anyway, a family member of his who we previously visited highly recommended us. The Shinto shrine he oversaw was located in a rural part of Japan, but despite this fact, it attracted a lot of visitors. That was until a few months ago. See, the incidents in question began around January of 2017 when people began to complain to him about feeling dread, but as soon as they left, the feeling would go away. Now, the shrine is located on the edge of a mountain, so you have to climb some stairs, 100 steps, just to get to it. This one time, there was a woman who was visiting the shrine. After she finished praying, she heard a sound down below and went to investigate. As she was looking for the source of the sound, she felt a pair of heavy hands push her. If it wasn't for her husband being there, she would have fallen and likely died. Another time, a man and his mother were visiting the shrine on the anniversary of his father's passing. As they were praying, they could hear what sounded like chanting. Now, at this point, they were the only ones up there as it was still early in the morning. When they went to see if there was a priest around, the sound followed them. Everywhere they walked, it was like the sound was mocking them. Another incident, a family of 6 was visiting the shrine. When they were being a little loud, they heard a disembodied voice of a man in Japanese tell them to leave. The strange phenomena continued to plague the area, and over the weeks bodies began to appear. After hearing his story, we decided to take on the case. Several days later, we arrived at the shrine and met with the Shinto priest, and although we had some Japanese speakers in the group, he spoke English very well, so we were able to communicate with him. His name was Hiro, and he was 28 years old. He studied at a university in Australia for 2 years before becoming a priest. Anyway, we set up our cameras and sleeping gear as we would be staying there for a couple of days. Hiro brought over some food and drinks. We all, 6 of us total, sat down and ate while he told us the history of the place. It was built during World War II for the locals because the nearest shrine was over 10 miles away, and since there was a fuel shortage, driving was impossible. After we ate, we were assigned to different shifts, where I was assigned the night shift. The first 4 hours were uneventful, but around 10 I began to notice lights flickering in the nearby woods and chalked it up to lightning bugs. That was until they began to move towards us. As the lights grew close, they began to take the shape of a flame and began dancing around in a circle. I couldn't believe my eyes as even more lights joined them. Soon, the lights disappeared and were immediately replaced by a loud beating drum that woke everybody up. When the drums grew closer, we all noticed a tall figure dressed in white robes walking out of the woods. Ross, who was nearest to the woods, picked up the camera and began recording, but as soon as he did, he nearly dropped it. He called me over and asked me to look into the camera, and when I did, I nearly peed myself. See, visible through the camera lens only were hundreds of people emerging from the woods, all dressed in clothing from different time periods. Every time we aimed the camera at the people, they seemed to be getting closer until eventually they were surrounding us. We all had enough of this crap and hightailed it out of there. As we were running down the stairs, my friend Ashley tripped and fell, knocking herself out. An hour later, after everything was settled down, we went to retrieve Ashley, and despite her tumble, she was fine. That night we were lucky and lived to tell the tale, but there's something I failed to mention to my friends. On that night, I was the first person to reach Ashley, and since I was holding the camera, I wanted a picture of the place for memories. As I was raising the camera to take a picture, I froze because you see, Ashley was surrounded by the people from the woods. That wasn't the scary part, because what I saw will forever haunt me. Standing behind the people was Hiro, and he was staring at me with so much hatred in his eyeless sockets, that they will stay burned into me forever. So a word of advice to anybody wanting to go ghost hunting: stay away from the Shinto shrines at night.